The huge space station spun slowly around Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Luna Station 7 was bigger than most cities on Earth, with thousands of people living and working inside its metal walls. The station looked like a giant wheel spinning, in space with lights twinkling through its windows like stars. Maya Rodriguez wiped sweat from her face as she carried another tray of drinks across the busy restaurant. Stellar Views was the fanciest place to eat on the entire station, with big windows that showed the beautiful view of Jupiter's swirling clouds. Rich people and alien visitors came here to make business deals over expensive food. Today was different, though. Maya had her 6-year-old daughter Sophie hiding in the back room near the kitchen. The station's daycare center had closed because of a broken air filter, and Maya could not find anyone to watch her daughter. She needed this job too much to call in sick. "Stay quiet back there, sweetie," Maya whispered to Sophie during a quick break. "Mommy will be done in a few hours." Sophie nodded, playing with her small toy spaceship. She was a smart little girl with dark curly hair and bright brown eyes that seemed to see everything around her. Maya always worried that Sophie was too curious for her own good. The restaurant was packed tonight because of a big meeting between human business leaders and aliens from the Zephyrian trade group. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin people, but with blue-gray skin and large black eyes. They wore flowing robes and spoke by clicking their tongues in patterns that sounded like music. At the main table sat Connor Blake, the richest man on the station, maybe the richest human in this whole part of space. He owned Blake Interstellar Mining, the company that dug up rare metals from dangerous asteroids and moons. Connor was tall with brown hair that was starting to turn gray at the sides. He wore an expensive black suit that probably cost more than Maya made in a year. Maya had served his table 3 times already tonight. Each time, Connor was polite, but distant, focused on his business talks with the aliens. The Zephyrians seemed interested in partnering with his company to mine some newly discovered asteroid fields near their home planets. "The safety protocols your species uses are impressive," clicked Ambassador Zektar, the lead Zephyrian. "Our people value the protection of workers above profit margins." Connor nodded. "That's always been my company's way of doing business. A dead worker can't mine asteroids, and their families deserve to know they're coming home safe." Maya smiled a little as she refilled their water glasses. At least this rich man seemed to care about regular people like her. Most of the wealthy visitors treated the staff like they were invisible. She was heading back to the kitchen when she heard a small voice behind her. "Mommy, I'm bored." Maya turned around fast, her heart jumping. Sophie had snuck out of the back room and was standing in the middle of the restaurant, looking around at all the strange aliens and fancy people. Several customers turned to stare at the little girl. "Sophie, go back to the kitchen right now," Maya whispered, trying not to cause more of a scene. But Sophie was not listening. Her eyes had locked onto something across the room. Her face lit up with pure joy, like she had just seen her favorite person in the whole galaxy. Before Maya could stop her, Sophie ran across the restaurant as fast as her little legs could carry her. She dodged between tables, past surprised alien customers, straight toward the main business table where Connor Blake was sitting. "Dad!" Sophie shouted happily. The entire restaurant went quiet. Every conversation stopped. Even the soft background music seemed to pause. Maya felt her face turn red with embarrassment and fear. Sophie jumped right into Connor's arms like she had done it 1,000 times before. The powerful businessman caught her automatically, his face showing complete shock. His mouth fell open and his eyes went wide. "Dad, I missed you so much," Sophie said, hugging him tight around the neck. Connor looked over Sophie's head directly at Maya. His expression was a mix of confusion, surprise, and something that might have been pain. Maya felt tears starting in her eyes. This was the moment she had feared and hoped for during the past 6 years. The Zephyrian delegates watched this scene with great interest. In their culture, family connections were the most important thing in life. Ambassador Zektar leaned forward, his large black eyes studying the human family drama unfolding before him. "Sophie," Maya said quietly, walking slowly toward the table. "Come here, honey." "But Mommy, it's Dad," Sophie said, still hugging Connor tight. "You said he was working far away in space." "Now he's here." Connor finally found his voice. I don't understand. He looked at Maya again. Is she? Maya nodded, unable to speak. Tears were running down her face now. Other customers in the restaurant were whispering to each other and pointing. Connor gently set Sophie down but kept his hands on her shoulders. He studied her face carefully, and Maya could see him noticing things. Sophie had his nose and the same stubborn chin. Her eyes were Maya's brown, but they had Connor's determined look. How old are you, sweetheart? Connor asked Sophie in a gentle voice. 6 3/4, Sophie said proudly. Mommy says I'm very smart for my age. I can count to 100, and I know the names of all the alien species on the station. Connor looked at Maya again. This time his expression was harder to read. We need to talk. Ambassador Zektar stood up from his chair. Perhaps we should continue our business discussions another time, Mr. Blake. Family matters should always come first. The other Zephyrians nodded in agreement, clicking their approval. They gathered their belongings and left the table, giving the human family some space. Maya knew her life was about to change forever. She just hoped it would not destroy everything she had worked so hard to build for Sophie. Connor Blake canceled all his meetings for the rest of the day. He took Maya and Sophie to his private office on the top floor of the station's business district. The office had huge windows that showed the endless stars and Jupiter's great red storm spinning in the distance. Sophie sat on a big leather chair, her legs swinging back and forth as she looked around at all the fancy things in the room. Maya stood by the window, her hands shaking as she tried to figure out what to say. Start from the beginning, Connor said. His voice was calm, but Maya could see the tension in his shoulders. Tell me everything. Maya took a deep breath. It was 7 years ago. The Mars Colonial Conference on Xenobiology Research. You were there to learn about new mining techniques that worked better with alien technology. Connor nodded slowly. He remembered that conference. It had been 3 weeks of meetings about how humans could work better with alien species in dangerous space environments. I was a graduate student then, Maya continued. I was studying how human bodies could work together with alien microorganisms. My research showed that humans have a special ability to form partnerships with helpful alien bacteria and tiny organisms. I remember you, Connor said quietly. You presented that paper about symbiotic relationships. You said humans might be able to survive better in space because we can adapt to work with alien life forms. Maya felt her heart beat faster. You came to my presentation twice. Then you asked me to dinner. Sophie looked up from the chair. Did you fall in love? She asked with the innocent curiosity of a 6-year-old. Maya's face turned red. Sophie, adults are talking. It's okay, Connor said. He looked at Sophie with a small smile. Yes, sweetie. Your mom and I liked each other very much. Maya continued her story. We spent 2 weeks together. You told me about your dreams of making space mining safer for workers. I told you about my research and how it could help people survive in dangerous places. Connor remembered those nights on Mars, talking under the strange orange sky. Maya had been brilliant and passionate about her work. He had felt something with her that he had never felt with anyone else. Then you got that emergency call, Maya said. The Andromeda expedition. Your company had found the richest asteroid field anyone had ever seen, but it was in very dangerous space. You had to leave right away. Connor closed his eyes. The Andromeda expedition had been the biggest risk of his career. 3 years in the most dangerous part of known space, mining asteroids near unstable stars and black holes. Half the crew had not expected to come back alive. When did you find out about Sophie? He asked. 2 weeks after you left. I was sick every morning and I went to the doctor. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I tried to send you messages, but you were too far away. Communication took months to reach the Andromeda sector. Why didn't you wait for me to come back? Maya's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to, but then the Krillian War started. The government cut all funding for civilian research projects. They needed every resource to fight the war. My university kicked me out because they couldn't pay me anymore. Connor remembered the Krillian War. 2 years of fighting against an alien species that wanted to destroy all human colonies. It had been a terrible time for everyone. I had to choose, Maya said. I could try to wait 3 years for you to come back with no money and no job, or I could find work and take care of our baby. Sophie jumped down from the chair and walked over to her mother. Mommy, why are you crying? Maya picked up Sophie and held her close. I'm not sad, honey. I'm just remembering some difficult times. Connor stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the mining ships coming and going from the station's docking bays. I came back from Andromeda 4 years ago. Why didn't you contact me then? I tried, Maya said. But you were famous by then. The richest man in this sector of space. You had bodyguards and assistants and people protecting you from everyone who wanted your money. I sent letters, but they never reached you. Connor turned around. I never got any letters. I know that now. I also thought you wouldn't want us. You were building a business empire. Why would you want a poor single mother and her child? Sophie looked confused. But Dad, you do want us, right? Connor knelt down in front of Sophie. Looking at her small face, he could see himself and Maya mixed together. This little girl was his daughter, and he had missed 6 years of her life. Yes, Sophie, I want you very much. I just didn't know you existed. Sophie smiled and hugged him again. Mommy, can Dad come live with us? Maya and Connor looked at each other. There were so many complications, so many things to figure out. It's not that simple, sweetie, Maya said, but Connor was thinking about something else. Your research, he said to Maya. What happened to it? I lost everything when the university closed my program. All my data, my lab work, my notes. 7 years of research gone. Could you recreate it? Maya looked surprised. Maybe. Why? Because I think you were right. I think humans do have a special ability to work with alien species. On the Andromeda expedition, my crew worked better with alien technology than anyone expected. We survived things that should have killed us. Just then, Sophie did something amazing. She started making clicking sounds like the Zephyrian aliens. The clicks were simple, but they formed a pattern that meant, hello, friend, in the Zephyrian language. Connor and Maya stared at their daughter in shock. Sophie, where did you learn that? Maya asked. From the blue people in the restaurant. They taught me when you were working. They're very nice. They told me that humans are good at making friends with everyone. Connor realized something important. Sophie was proof that Maya's research was right. This little girl naturally understood how to communicate with alien species. She was exactly the kind of human that could help build bridges between different worlds. Outside the office window, Connor could see Zephyrian ships docked at the station. The aliens were still here, still interested in working with his company. Maybe this family reunion could become something much bigger than anyone expected. Victoria Cross heard about Connor Blake's family drama within hours. News traveled fast on Luna Station 7, especially when it involved the richest man in the sector. Victoria sat in her luxurious office aboard her private ship, watching security, footage that her spies had recorded in the restaurant. Victoria was the CEO of Cross Galactic Industries, Connor's biggest business rival. She was a cold woman with sharp green eyes and silver hair pulled back in a tight style. Her company was almost as big as Connor's, but she wanted to be the only major mining operation in this part of space. Perfect, Victoria said to her assistant, a nervous man named Pete who always did whatever she told him. Blake finally made a mistake we can use. Victoria immediately started spreading lies across the business networks. She told people that Connor had known about his daughter all along but had abandoned her to focus on making money. She said he was an irresponsible father who cared more about profits than family. The rumors spread like fire through the station's communication systems. Other business leaders started talking. Some of the alien species who valued family honor began questioning whether they should work with Connor's company. The Valorian Empire was especially concerned. The Valorians were a proud warrior race who believed that a person's honor came from protecting their family. When they heard that Connor might have abandoned his child, they started reconsidering their mining contracts with Blake Interstellar. Meanwhile, Maya was facing her own problems. The manager of Stellar View's restaurant called her into his office the morning after the incident. "Maya, I'm sorry, but I have to let you go," Manager Phillips said. He looked uncomfortable, but his decision was final. "Corporate says having personal drama in the dining room is bad for business." Maya felt her world falling apart. "Please, I need this job. I have a daughter to feed." "I know, and I'm sorry, but the order came from very high up. Someone with a lot of money complained about what happened last night." Maya knew it had to be one of Connor's business enemies. Someone was trying to hurt both her and Connor by making their situation worse. She walked home to her tiny apartment feeling defeated. Sophie was waiting for her, playing with some alien children from their building. The station had housing areas where humans and friendly alien species lived together. Sophie had always been good at making friends with everyone. "Mommy, why do you look sad?" Sophie asked when Maya came through the door. "I lost my job, sweetheart. We might have to move to a different station." Sophie hugged her mother tight. "Don't worry, Mommy. Dad will help us." But Maya wasn't sure about that. Connor was dealing with his own crisis. His business partners were calling emergency meetings. Some of his mining contracts were being canceled. The lies Victoria Cross was spreading were working. Connor tried to fight back by telling the truth, but the damage was already done. In business, reputation was everything. Once people started doubting him, it was hard to change their minds. The situation got worse when Victoria's people bribed some of the station workers to turn against Maya. Other waitresses and service workers began treating her badly, believing she was trying to trap a rich man with lies about having his child. "She's just a gold digger," they whispered when Maya walked by. "Probably trained that kid to call him daddy." Maya felt more alone than ever. Even some of her neighbors started avoiding her. Only Sophie's alien friends and their families still treated them kindly. One evening, Connor came to visit Maya's small apartment. He looked tired and stressed. The past few days had been the hardest of his business career. "I'm losing everything," he told Maya as they sat in her tiny kitchen. Sophie was in the next room, teaching a young Zephyrian child how to count in human numbers. "I'm sorry," Maya said. "This is all my fault. If Sophie hadn't run to you in the restaurant, none of this would have happened." "No," Connor said firmly. "I'm glad it happened. Meeting Sophie is the best thing that's happened to me in years. I just wish I could protect both of you from what's coming." "What do you mean?" Connor's face was grim. "Victoria Cross isn't just spreading rumors. My security team found out she's planning something bigger. She wants to destroy my company completely, and she thinks hurting you and Sophie is the way to do it." As if his words were a warning, Maya's door chimed. She opened it to find 3 large men in expensive suits standing in the hallway. "Ms. Rodriguez," the leader said with a fake smile. "We're here on behalf of Cross Galactic Industries. We'd like to offer you a job." Maya stepped back. "I'm not interested. The pay is very good. Enough to give your daughter a much better life. All you have to do is sign a statement saying that Connor Blake knew about his child but refused to help support her." "That's not true," Maya said. "Truth doesn't matter in business," the man replied. "Only what people believe matters." Connor stepped into view behind Maya. "She's not signing anything." The men looked surprised to see him there. The leader's fake smile disappeared. "Mr. Blake, you should think carefully about this situation. Your business empire is falling apart. Soon you won't be able to help anyone, including your supposed daughter." "Get out," Connor said coldly. The men left, but their message was clear. Victoria Cross was going to keep attacking until she destroyed everything Connor cared about. That night, Sophie couldn't sleep. She had heard the adults talking and knew something was wrong. She snuck out of her bedroom and found her parents sitting at the kitchen table looking worried. "Are we in trouble?" Sophie asked. Connor picked her up and sat her on his lap. "Some bad people are trying to hurt our family, sweetheart, but we're going to fight back." Sophie looked at him with her serious brown eyes. "The blue people said humans are good at protecting each other. They said that's why aliens like working with us." Maya and Connor looked at each other. Even in the middle of their crisis, their 6-year-old daughter was reminding them of something important about human nature. "You're right, Sophie," Connor said. "Humans don't give up on family, and we don't let bullies win. Outside their window, the lights of Luna Station 7 twinkled like stars. Somewhere in those lights, Victoria Cross was planning her next attack. But she had made one mistake. She had underestimated what humans would do to protect the people they loved. Connor Blake made the biggest decision of his life the next morning. He called a press conference in the main plaza of Luna Station 7, where hundreds of humans and aliens gathered to hear what he had to say. "My name is Connor Blake," he began, standing at a podium with Maya and Sophie beside him. "Some of you have heard lies about my family. Today I want to tell you the truth." Victoria Cross watched the speech from her ship, anger growing in her green eyes. She had expected Connor to distance himself from Maya and Sophie to save his business. Instead, he was doing the opposite. 7 years ago, I met a brilliant scientist named Maya Rodriguez, Connor continued. I fell in love with her, but I had to leave for a dangerous mission. I never knew she was carrying my child until 3 days ago, the crowd murmured. Some people looked surprised, others seemed skeptical. Maya raised our daughter alone while I was gone. She gave up her career to take care of Sophie. She never asked me for money or help because she thought I wouldn't want the responsibility of a family. Connor looked down at Sophie, who was holding his hand tightly. But family is the most important thing in the universe. More important than money or business or reputation. Ambassador Zektar stepped forward from the crowd of aliens. "Mr. Blake, what about your business partnerships? Some of our species are concerned about working with someone who might not be reliable." "I understand your concerns," Connor replied, "but I want to show you something that might change your minds." Connor activated a large screen behind him. It showed Maya's old research data, which they had spent the past 2 days recreating from her memory and notes. Dr. Maya Rodriguez discovered something amazing about humans, Connor explained. "We have a unique genetic ability to form partnerships with helpful alien microorganisms. This makes us more resistant to radiation, better able to survive in harsh environments, and more adaptable to working with alien technology." The alien delegates in the crowd leaned forward with interest. This was news to most of them. Maya stepped up to the microphone, her voice shaking at first but growing stronger. "My research showed that humans can live and work safely in places that would kill most other species. When humans form symbiotic relationships with the right alien organisms, we become stronger, not weaker." A tall Valorian warrior in the crowd spoke up. "You claim humans can adapt to work with our people better than other species?" "Yes," Maya said, "and I can prove it." She showed data from Connor's Andromeda expedition, information that had been classified until now. The human crew had survived radiation levels that should have been deadly. They had worked with alien equipment more efficiently than anyone expected. They had formed successful partnerships with 3 different alien species. They met in deep space. "This is why humans make good partners," Maya explained. "We don't just tolerate other species. We actually benefit from working together." Sophie stepped forward to the microphone. She was small and had to stand on a box to reach it, but her voice was clear and confident. "The blue people taught me their language," Sophie said, then demonstrated by speaking several phrases in perfect Zephyrian. "The rock people from Valor taught me their honor songs. The fuzzy people from Centauri taught me how to count in base 12 math." The crowd was amazed. This 6-year-old human child had learned to communicate with multiple alien species just by playing with their children. "Humans like making friends," Sophie continued with the simple wisdom of a child. "We're good at it because we want everyone to be happy together." Ambassador Zektar clicked his approval. Several other alien delegates nodded their agreement. Even the stern Valorian warrior looked impressed, but Victoria Cross was not finished. As Connor's press conference continued, her hired mercenaries were moving through the station. They had orders to steal Maya's research and cause enough chaos to discredit Connor's claims. The mercenaries broke into Connor's office and Maya's temporary lab, taking computers and data storage devices. But they made a mistake. They underestimated how much the alien community on Luna Station 7 had come to care about the human family. Zix, a young Zephyrian whose child was friends with Sophie, saw the mercenaries breaking into the lab. He immediately clicked an alarm, call that other Zephyrians heard throughout the station. Throck, a Valorian maintenance worker, saw the mercenaries trying to escape with stolen equipment. He blocked their path and called for help in the deep, booming voice of his people. Even the quiet Antarian traders, who usually avoided conflicts, used their telepathic abilities to coordinate station security and track the thieves. Within minutes, the mercenaries were surrounded by aliens from 6 different species, all working together to protect Connor's family and Maya's research. These humans have shown us respect and friendship. Zix clicked to the captured mercenaries. We will not allow you to harm them. Victoria Cross watched her plan fall apart from her ship's view screen. Her mercenaries were in custody. Her lies had been exposed by Connor's speech. And worst of all, the alien delegates were more interested in working with Blake Interstellar than ever before. She activated her ship's communication system and called Connor directly. "This isn't over, Blake," Victoria said, her voice cold with fury. "I'll destroy you and your little family if it's the last thing I do." "You're welcome to try," Connor replied calmly. "But you made one big mistake, Victoria." "What mistake?" "You forgot that humans don't fight alone. We make friends, and friends help each other." As if to prove his point, 3 Valorian security ships moved to escort Connor's family to safety. A Zephyrian science vessel offered to help Maya continue her research. Even the station's management, influenced by the alien community's support, reversed their decision to fire Maya and offered her a better job. Victoria realized she was no longer fighting just Connor Blake. She was fighting an alliance of humans and aliens who had decided to work together. Her company might be powerful, but it was not stronger than the bonds Connor's family had helped create. That night, Sophie sat in her new bedroom in Connor's larger apartment, surrounded by gifts from her alien friends. Toys from Zephyrian children, honor stones from young Valorians, and puzzle games from Antarian kids who thought in 11 dimensions. "Dad," Sophie said as Connor tucked her into bed. "Why was that mean lady so angry?" Connor thought carefully about how to explain. "Some people think they have to fight to get what they want, but humans know a better way." "What way?" "We make friends, we help each other. We work together to make everyone stronger." Sophie smiled and hugged her stuffed alien toy, a gift from Ambassador Zektar's own child. "I like being human." "Me too, sweetie. Me too." 3 months later, Luna Station 7 looked different. The walls displayed artwork created by children from 12 different species working together. The restaurants served food that mixed human cooking with alien ingredients. The shopping areas had stores run by partnerships between human and alien families. Maya Rodriguez stood in her new laboratory, wearing the white coat of the head scientist for the Interspecies Biological Research Institute. Her research had proven that humans could indeed form beneficial relationships with alien microorganisms, making space exploration safer for everyone. The symbiotic bacteria from Zephyr Prime reduces radiation sickness by 80%, Maya explained to a group of visiting scientists from across the galaxy. "When humans work with these organisms, we can survive in environments that would normally be deadly." The discovery had changed everything. Mining operations that used human-alien partnerships were 3 times safer than traditional methods. Space exploration missions that included humans lasted longer and achieved better results. Even alien species that had never worked with humans before were requesting partnerships. Connor Blake's company had become the most successful mining operation in known space, not because he had abandoned his family, but because he had embraced them. The research Maya and Sophie had inspired was revolutionizing how different species worked together. Ambassador Zektar visited Connor's office every week now. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium had signed exclusive contracts with Blake Interstellar, mining, making both species richer and safer. "Your family approach to business has impressed our entire civilization," Zektar clicked approvingly. "We believe humans who value relationships will always be reliable partners." Sophie had become something of a celebrity on the station. At 7 years old, she could speak basic phrases in 8 alien languages and served as an unofficial ambassador between human and alien children. The Colonial Education Authority had created a special program for her studying how her natural communication abilities could help train future diplomats. Sophie has a gift that could help prevent wars, Dr. Helen Park, the education specialist, told Connor and Maya. Children who grow up understanding multiple species the way she does could become bridges between worlds. Victoria Cross had not given up, but her attacks had backfired badly. When news of her mercenary assault on Luna Station 7 reached Earth, the colonial government stripped her company of several major contracts. Other alien species had blacklisted cross-galactic industries for attacking a station where their own people lived and worked. Victoria's company stock had dropped by 60%. Her board of directors was demanding her resignation. The business, empire she had spent decades building, was crumbling because she had tried to destroy a family instead of competing fairly. "It's not over," Victoria told her remaining assistant as she watched Connor's success from her nearly empty office. "I'll find another way to beat him." But even Victoria was beginning to realize that she was fighting something bigger than one man or one company. She was fighting against the human ability to make genuine friendships across species lines, something that no amount of money or corporate power could defeat. The turning point came when the Valorian Empire offered Connor an unprecedented honor. They invited him to speak at the Grand Assembly, where representatives from over 100 species gathered to discuss trade and diplomacy. Connor stood before the massive alien audience with Maya and Sophie beside him. The great hall was filled with beings of every shape and size imaginable, from the crystalline shimmer people to the gaseous cloud dancers of the far rim. "Honored representatives," Connor began, "I want to tell you about the greatest discovery my species has ever made." The hall fell silent. Everyone expected him to talk about new technology or scientific breakthroughs. "We discovered that the universe is not meant to be conquered alone," Connor continued. "Every species has something unique to offer. Every culture has wisdom that others can learn from. And when we work together, we all become stronger than we ever could be apart." He gestured to Sophie, who stepped forward confidently. In her clear, young voice, she greeted the assembly in 12 different languages, each phrase perfect and respectful. The alien delegates were amazed. "My daughter learned those languages not in school, but by playing with alien children," Connor explained. "She made friends, and through friendship she gained knowledge that no textbook could teach." Maya presented her research findings to the assembly, showing how human-alien biological partnerships were making space exploration safer for everyone. The data was undeniable. Mixed species crews had better survival rates, found more resources, and solved problems more efficiently than single-species operations. General Vorthak of the Valorian Empire stood up. "The human approach to cooperation is unlike anything we have seen," he rumbled in his deep voice. "They do not seek to dominate or control. They seek to understand and support." Ambassador Zektar clicked his agreement. "Humans have shown us that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. This is a lesson all species should learn." The assembly voted to establish new protocols for interspecies cooperation, with humans serving as coordinators and mediators. It was the greatest diplomatic success in galactic history, and it all started with a little girl running to hug her father in a restaurant. Victoria Cross watched the assembly proceedings from her ship, knowing that her war against Connor Blake was finally over. She had lost not because Connor was more powerful, but because she had fundamentally misunderstood what made humans dangerous to their enemies. Humans were not threatening because they were strong warriors or brilliant scientists. They were threatening because they made friends with everyone, and friends helped each other survive and succeed. 6 months later, Connor, Maya, and Sophie sat in Stellar View's restaurant, but this time as honored guests rather than workers. Around them, humans and aliens from dozens of species shared meals and conversations. Children of different species played together while their parents discussed business partnerships and cultural exchanges. Sophie looked up at her parents with bright, happy eyes. "I'm glad you found each other again," she said. Connor squeezed Maya's hand and smiled at his daughter. "We're stronger together than we ever were apart." Outside the restaurant windows, ships from hundreds of worlds docked at Luna Station 7. The station had become the most important hub for interspecies cooperation in the galaxy, all because one human family had shown that love and loyalty were more powerful than money and competition. Maya looked around at the peaceful scene and thought about how far they had all come. Her research had saved countless lives. Connor's business had prospered by helping others succeed. And Sophie was growing up in a universe where being different was celebrated rather than feared. The future was brighter than any of them had dared to hope, built on the simple human truth that friendship could overcome any obstacle.